All right, guys, what's up? We're back today. I've been coughing a lot because I just was drinking coffee and talking too much, and some went down the wrong way. So if I cough during the video, like whatever, that's life. Welcome to it. But let's get straight into this podcast today. Hello, guys. What's up? Welcome back to the Liberated Millionaire Podcast. If you hear me cough a couple times today, it's because I just was making all my video content for the day and drank some coffee that came down the wrong way and really coughed my lungs out trying to get this coffee back out of my system. So that's that, but I hope it won't bother you too much if I cough a couple times during the episode, right? And today we're continuing on with a few more non-standard things I do, right? I call them quote-unquote weird, but remember, weird and extraordinary are words for the same thing that just means non-standard. And so if you try to be extraordinary, you're always going to be afraid of being weird, and so you're always going to have cognitive dissonance, and you're never going to accomplish anything or be happy, right? So there you go. So just call it non-standard. Be non-standard in your own way so that you can improve on the human experience and make the standard better by starting something as non-standard, make it better. So I told a parable today about construction, right? And in my parable content for today, which you can find on YouTube, Living Life with Woody Rainey, what I talked about was this idea that the people, right, learn from each generation. And so each generation gets better. And if you, for example, my home builder, KB Homes, they built me a house and they built it and they didn't need to come up with brand new plans or anything because they already had a template for it. They already had it ready in the warehouse. They send it all to me and boom, I have a house as long as I can pay for it. Isn't that amazing? It's really stunningly amazing. It's really wonderful. But anyway, the thing I want to talk about today is this thing I do naturally, which for the life of me, again, I say this a lot, but for the life of me, I can't figure out why more people don't do this, which is just baselining best practices off of other people. And so if somebody else does something well, I'm just going to steal their best practice exactly, right? Like it's not rocket science, and then I just upgrade myself off of it. And so there's a big mistake we've all been making in our lives, including me, and I'm finally learning how to not make it, and it's so cool, and I'm having such big realizations on this. The big mistake we make is we try to be like somebody else, okay? And for a long time, I thought this was just an aphorism, right? A nice thing that people say, like, don't be like anybody else. Just be yourself, be confident, be you. And sure, that's all true, but, what if somebody else is really good, right? Like, for example, I gave an example from a book by Tim Ferriss, this guy who's really rich and has all this success and this huge podcast. And here I am podcasting to a smaller audience. Why wouldn't I want to be like Tim Ferriss, right? Or here I am wanting to be like Tony Robbins, who's an athlete. Like, why wouldn't I, or not an athlete, Tony Robbins, who's a life coach. Why wouldn't I want to be like him? Or I want to be like Jeff Cavaliere, who's my YouTube workout guy, who's an athlete. Why wouldn't I want to be like him? Excuse me. And so I realized personally that I've been making this mistake of wanting to be like these people, right? And you're probably making this mistake too. You might have somebody who you consider a role model who you want to be like. And I finally uncovered last night, as I was thinking about it, why that's such a big mistake. And it's because we all grow from generation to generation. For example, the iPhone was only created 10 or 15 years ago, or, whenever. Like, I don't know. But it wasn't around 50 years ago. Why? Because we had to create other computers before we could create an iPhone, And we have to create iPhones before we can create really good virtual reality and all this stuff. And so it takes time to build on each other, but we all build on something new. And so what I realized is that, I was part of the way there, but not all the way there, right? Now, the first part of using my secret baselining technique, this is something I've been doing for years, right, is I just steal the best parts of other people. So if Tim Ferriss writes a book, The 4-Hour Workweek, and tells me what to do, I just read the book once, steal the best things from it, and then I use them, okay? And so I'm improving, right? And I'm just always amazed that people don't do that more, is you just take best practices from the best people, You want to know why I'm live every day, streaming everything I'm doing? Is because one of the best people, Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a really big entrepreneur guy, that's how he got big. He just did 1,000 episodes of his YouTube show about his Wine Library TV, and after the 1,000th episode, he got on Conan O'Brien, and then finally started getting a little traction in his 30s, But it was just consistent. So I just steal his best practice, right? And then I look out and I'm like, why is it everybody else not being so aggressive with their daily content? But I realized I was only doing this part way because I was thinking, I want to be as good as Tim Ferriss, or I want to be as good as Gary Vaynerchuk. But here's the reason why that's standard, right? It is standard to have a role model and want to live up to them, okay? Here's a reason why that standard is so devastating to your psyche. It's because, and I talked about this in my parable video today, that since the laws of physics and the laws of being human, which human physics, whatever you want to call it, say that we improve on each generation, right? That everyone improves, okay? If KB Homes builds a house, it's because somebody else had built a house and then they already knew how to do it, so they focused on being a big company, right? You know, if Tony Robbins is a life coach, it's because Jim Rohn or somebody taught him and then he improves on it. And so what I realize is that as humans, right, we are always improving on the previous generation. And so that means if you choose to try to be like somebody else, then you are actually creating a failure in yourself because you can't ever try to be like somebody else. You need to baseline yourself off all the best things they do and then be better than them and improve on them because you're the next generation. All right? And so that's my new unique method for improving. My initial method was simply baseline myself off other people and then kind of add my own little thing. And that's what I've always been doing. You know, I'll always just look, right? Like there's just this guy, Jeff Cavalier, who does YouTube workouts and he's really fit. And so I just do his exact workout and I'm getting really fit, like the fittest I've ever been in my life. And I've only been doing it for a month. And so I'm just so amazed by that. And so there's so many positive things happening and good things happening for me. But what I had always thought in my mind was, oh, I need to be like Jeff Cavalier, but not quite as good, right? Or like Tony Robbins, but not quite as good, you know? And chances are you have someone who is a people worship in your mind, right? And I think one of the things that's unique about me is I really don't have that anymore. You know, I see people do this all the time and they're just destroying themselves, you know? Like I was watching a YouTube video of this streamer and I'll see people, like I think my favorite trigger for this, my favorite example is Amazon and Jeff Bezos, right? Because people get so triggered by him. And I know nothing about him personally. I know nothing about his company culture. So I'm not referencing the company culture or anything. I'm solely referencing him as an object of human thought because he's a guy with tons of money, right? He's the richest person on earth right now. And so I'm solely referencing him in that because like I don't read the news. I don't know about his company culture or I don't know what bad things go on or what good things go on. You know, I don't know what, like blah, blah, blah. And I know some people view him kind of like in You've Got Mail, right? Where there's like Fox Books that's like destroying the little bookstore. Like I know Jeff Bezos is kind of like FOX Fox, like destroying all the small guys, right? But what I find so interesting is that you hear anyone talk about Amazon or someone with a lot of money. I love talking about people with a lot of money. And someone will inevitably say, oh, I wish I had that money. Or like, oh, it must be nice. Or like, yeah, well, I'll never have as much money as that person. And you see that as, that's a sign to me if somebody says that. That's a sign that they are like creating a limiting belief. This patting your head is what Tony Robbins does when he thinks of a limiting belief. So I'm patting my head here in real time. You're creating a limiting belief on yourself, which is destroying your ability to be human because any human can improve on the past, right? So right now, right, I can look at even Amazon, even if I don't want to run a huge like mega bookstore across the world, right, that makes tons of money and then turns into a conglomerate that owns everything, right? Even if I don't want that at all, right? I still look at someone like Jeff Bezos and I'm like, hey, like, you know, that guy did that. I'm going to take his best practices and get even better, right? Like whatever he does well, I'm just going to take it, but I'm also going to be better. And I don't limit myself. Like I think, oh yeah, of course I could earn that much money if I wanted to, right? It's self-evident that you could earn as much money as anybody's ever earned before because you have all of their knowledge plus any new insights you want to add. And so I think that's a really cool thing and one of the things that's going to predict my success, right? It's a predictor of success. I think that's how I would predict other people's success. If you told me to evaluate people, other people's future success is how do they think when they see somebody who's really rich and successful? And I used to get jealous or I used to think I needed to be like them. But now I just think, oh yeah, like, you know, they're just a person who operated under some basic laws and I could do the same thing, but even better because I already have all their knowledge, right? This is the beauty of 2020 and beyond, guys, is that we have all of each other's knowledge and we can share it everywhere. That's why I'm sharing so much with you, is because now guess what? You can take everything I've ever taught you and you can just be better than me. You can then go think about your own things and improve on your own stuff, right? So we all build off each other. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And it's something I think most people don't do, right? I see all kinds of people in all walks of life. They look at someone who's quote unquote successful by society and they like kind of put themselves down or they think they're not good enough as that or whatever, right? But you got to realize that any person you can look at, any person you can view, again, this is my like quote unquote mental iPhone, this thing I'm creating where it's like only a few functions. The only mental function I have with the outside world is what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? I'm always asking that. And so when it comes to these super successful people, I'm just asking, oh, what can I learn? Like I can be like them, but even better in my own unique way. And so my advice for you, if you want to improve, is open your mind to the idea that you really could be better than anybody else in the world at whatever it is you're best at. Because that's not a possibility, that's actually a fact. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to make tons of money, right? Just like I'm saying, like in my Amazon example, like the likelihood that I end up making more money than Jeff Bezos is extremely unlikely. But even as I'm saying those words, a part of my mind is like, Woody, don't even say that, because you really could, right? You could make $10 trillion. You could create a coaching program that's used in every school, every kindergarten, every adult home. Like, you could make a ubiquitous coaching program that is in every single household in the world, and you could probably become the richest person on earth doing that. And so even there instantly, I see that possibility. And so the thing that's really interesting is we all have this ability, you know? I don't think that's a unique thing to me. I think anybody can visualize something bigger than before, right? And it's so simple, it's almost hard for me to explain. But when I look at something, I just immediately take it to the next step, right? So, example, okay, I'm doing this guy Jeff Cavalier's workouts, right? Now, this guy is a fitness machine. He's super ripped, right? His YouTube channel, Athlean has over 10 million subscribers. He's a physical therapist with all these initials behind his name. He knows everything there is to know about fitness. Or, you know, nobody knows everything, but he's really good. And I do his workouts, and I do a crappy version of his workouts because I can barely get through it. And so you might say, well, Woody, aren't you just a worse version of him? But here's the thing, I'm not, because I noticed that Jeff has great shoulder exercises and great posture stuff, but he doesn't have yoga stuff or stretching stuff, or he doesn't have necessarily as much nutrition stuff, so he's not complete on all of that. And so what I'm doing is taking other areas, right, and saying, oh, well, I could do Jeff's workouts, but I could do this yoga girl's yoga, and she doesn't have workouts. And then I could do this nutrition person's nutrition, right? And then I could build the ultimate program and then show that to people, right? And so I'm genuinely thinking that. I'm thinking, like, why is there not just a system for how to live life that's that simple, right? Just put this in your body, do this, do this, do this, you know? And so I see myself as taking and improving on that. So even this guy who does these amazing workouts, right? Yeah, I'm going to leverage all this stuff, but I'm also going to go to this former Navy SEAL for pain training and how to tolerate more pain, right? And SEAL training. Then I'm also going to go to this other military guy for human performance stretching and stretch. And then we go to this yoga person on YouTube for her yoga stuff, like Sarah Beth Yoga, whoever she is. And then I'm going to combine all of that and do some nutrition stuff from my guy Rob Wolf and other paleo people. And then, boom, I have something that is more powerful than anything anyone's created before. And so where I think people are really missing the boat in 2020, where you could jump on, is the ability to just take other people's knowledge and combine it into an even simpler and easier to execute on thing, okay? And so that's what I'm all about. I think, you know, you can, like, human life is about simplifying, and it's about taking what other people have done and then abstracting it into just a simple thing that you build pieces of, right? Because if you think about it, to the guys who I watch on YouTube who I do his workouts, he probably has to think about every workout and just how to do it, right? And so each move in the workout, he has to move your body just right. And so he has to think of, like, you know, how many exercises? 18 exercises per workout. And maybe that's 18 things to him, and that's pretty hard to think of, but he does it, and it's really good. Excuse me, I just really drank some coffee earlier, and it just went down the wrong way. But me, I just think of it as one thing, right? That's the beauty. It's just one thing. It's just Jeff Cavalier's workout. And so I don't have to think about each exercise because I know he's created it. So now I take his 16 things, and I put them into one thing. And then I take, you know, a nutritionist's 16 things and I take them into one thing, right? And then I just combine them. And so your most powerful human capacity is actually to build on top of other people. And I just want you to know that. I want you to know it because it's really, really important. And it's something I don't see people doing. And so my thing, why I always have such high standards, is because I don't think we even come close to simplifying life as much as we could. Ultimately in life, right, if you take this to the extreme, there's only one function in life. Choose to be happy and be present in the oneness of life, right? That's the only function you ever need. But I'm looking to bring in these intermediate gaps, right? Just like you couldn't go from coding in machine language or binary and ones and zeros to an iPhone, you have to have some intermediate coding languages, right? Like iPhone is built on iOS software, and iPhone apps are coded with Swift, which is their programming language, you know? And some coaches now have created the equivalent of the programming languages like Swift or Java or Python, right? Like Tony Robbins' coaching program may be a programming language equivalent because you have to kind of learn it and do it, but then you do it, right? And Jeff Cavalier's workouts are kind of like you have to learn how to do it and do it. But now what I'm doing is I'm abstracting it another layer. I'm taking it and saying, hey, like, just do the workout, do the program, like, do this. And so I keep thinking being human is so much easier than we make it. It's so much simpler than we make it, right? And it's so much happier than we make it. And so I know this was a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a wild episode, but that's the thing I'm uniquely doing that I don't see anyone else doing, and I find it a little bit, perturbing, or like, I don't know what the right word is, like odd, right? Like creepy, because everybody's trying to make life more complicated, and I'm only trying to make it simpler. And if you look around your life every day, you're just failing to meet basic standards, basic simple things. And if you just keep making it simpler and simpler, life gets so easy. So the trick is, the way I'm uniquely improving is I'm taking other people's stuff, but I'm just taking it as one piece. I just take it and use it and don't worry about it. And then I keep adding my own stuff on top. So I'm no longer trying to be just a different version of Tony Robbins or a different version of a Tim Ferriss or something like that. What I'm doing every day is becoming the best Woody Rini, who takes best practices from everywhere, but also knows that he can just abstract it and make it way easier. And so, guys, I think as far as human improvement, I don't think I know, right? That we're at the stage of advanced programming languages, like programming languages like Python and Java and C++ and Swift. And if you don't know what those, in .NET and HTML, if you don't know what those things are, just go look one up and understand how it works real quick, or SQL. But we haven't gotten to the stage of human iPhone, human tablet yet, where you can literally just click on a few buttons and feel however you want, do whatever you want. That's the power that puts improvement in everyday person's hands, and that's what I'm creating. So I know this is early on in my journey, but that's my vision. That's what I see for us, and it's going to be just as an astonishing a breakthrough as saying, hey, everyday people, just like you couldn't code, but now you can use an iPhone, right, that runs all this code, now you can just be happy all the time just by using these simple tactics. So that's what I'm teaching, that's what I'm doing. And while I come with different ideas every day, I hope you see that the same simple things are coming out. And I hope you see that I'm working on a Mental Health 101 program releasing later this year, that is going to be really powerful. And so, guys, lots of good stuff coming. There's so much out there for us, so much potential, so much kindness, so much love, so much everything. It's all possible. It's all there for us. And I'd honestly love to share it with you and make it happen with you. That's it for today, guys. And go out there and improve and go on top of other people and make a goal to be better than anyone ever before. Then you'll really be inspired and you'll really be doing the right thing. Talk to you next time. I love you guys. I care about you, and I will see you later. Oh boy, that was a grind. My nose is really stuffed up from the allergies. That's why I'm choking so much. I mean, that's always why, right? Talking and sniffling and whatever. But guys, I'll see you later. It's been fun, and I'll be back for the workout.